This is a man named Vince Palamara. Do you know him?
I'm familiar with him. I don't know him.
He says that, I guess, we'll talk about this, that he sent you a 22-page letter.
I recall receiving a letter which I sent back to him. I didn't bother with it.
You didn't talk to him ever?
He called me and I said hello, but that was about it.
Yeah, Clint Hill is claiming that he returned my letter and he didn't bother with it. Okay? Lisa McCubbin, the co-author of Gerald Blaine's book, The Kennedy Detail, claimed on Facebook that he threw it in the garbage. Perhaps the biggest contradiction of all is Gerald Blaine was quoting from the letter to me when I spoke to the gentleman on June 10th, 2005. So we got three different stories. Clint Hill's claiming here that he returned it to me. He did not return it to me. I received his signed receipt that he received it. He did not return it. Lisa McCubbin is claiming that he threw it away without reading it. And the evidence that indicts them the most is Gerald Blaine quoted from the letter to me, again, on June 10th, 2005.
And this man's name is Vince Palamara. He is a citizen who has taken it on his own to become an expert. He's from Pennsylvania, and I don't know him. I've never talked to him. I've just seen it on the web. And he is, I believe he's a graduate of Duquesne University. So let's watch this, and I'll get your reaction to it.
Hi, this is Vince Palamara, the self-described Secret Service expert that Jerry Blaine accuses me of without naming me, okay? Back with my obsession about the Kennedy detail. I gotta read this. This is rich. Page 287. This is what Blaine's claiming Riley said. Riley turned to Jerry Blaine. And Jerry, since you were in the lead car, did you ever hear this over your radio as well? Yes, sir, I did. I heard exactly what Floyd just told you. The thing about this is the whole thing about the Ivy League charlatans thing. Jerry Blaine told me the Ivy League charlatans thing came from the guys. I can't remember who said it. Boy, his memory got real good 5 years later, because now he's claiming he heard it over the radio, Floyd Boring, okay? Just unbelievable. It's just amazing to me, you know? There never would have been a book if I didn't send a 22-page letter, okay, to Clint Hill that pissed him off so much that his very good friend Jerry Blaine came out with this book as a counter, okay? There's some nice things I recommend everybody to buy. I don't mind censorship. This is my First Amendment rights, okay? It's got some nice pictures, some nice non-assassination things, and there's even some good assassination-related things in here. But it's very obvious. Other people picked up on it. That's why there's some really bad reviews on Amazon right now. Mine's the best of the bunch at 3 stars, too. It's very obvious it's a thinly veiled attempt to rewrite history and to blame President Kennedy without trying to blame him for his own assassination.
First of all, his is not the best of the reviews. There are 7 with 5 stars, just in case, for the record, that I saw today when I looked on Amazon. What's your reaction? Could you hear?
Well, he wrote an assessment of the book about the first time about 5 weeks before it was released. The second time on Amazon.com, he and 4 of his friends, or 4 of his aliases, put a statement on assessing the book a 1, a 2, and a 3. My assessment of Mr. Palamara is that he called probably all of the agents, and what agent who answers a phone is going to answer a question, was President Kennedy easy to protect? Well, probably he was too easy to protect because he was assassinated. But the fact that the agents aren't going to tell him anything, and he alludes to the fact that when I wrote the book, most of these people were dead. Well, I worked with these people. I knew them like brothers, and I knew exactly what was going on. And I always respected Jim Rowley because he stood up to the issue and said, look, we can't say the president invited himself to be killed, so let's squash this. So that was the word throughout the Secret Service.
This is rich. Gerald Blaine is saying, my assessment of Mr. Palamara is that he called probably all the agents, which is true. And what agent who answers the phone is going to answer a question, was President Kennedy easy to protect? You did, Mr. Blaine. February 7th, 2004 and June 10th, 2005 to be exact, and many of your colleagues echoed the same thing. That JFK was a very nice man, never interfered with the actions of the Secret Service, and did not order the agents off the limousine. Picking up where Blaine left off. Well, he probably was too easy to protect because he was assassinated. Jeez, that's really nice to know, Mr. Blaine. Again, a quote from Blaine here. But the fact that the agents aren't going to tell him anything, you told me a whole bunch of things in our 45-minute conversations, plural, times 2, on those dates I mentioned. And many of your colleagues told me much of value. And he alludes to the fact that when I wrote the book, most of these people were dead. Yes, it's very relevant. Again, back to Blaine. Well, I worked with these people. I knew them like brothers, and I knew exactly what was going on, and always respected Jim Raleigh because he stood up to the issue and said, look, we can't say the president invited himself to be killed, so let's squash this. 47 years later in Blaine's book, as I've covered in my Citizens for Truth and Kennedy Assassination online reviews and my blogs and whatnot, he's claiming in his book that there was a morning of JFK's funeral meeting of the Secret Service that Chief Riley said, look, we know the president ordered us off the back of the car, but we can't let the public know about this because then they'll think we're blaming the president for his own death. We got to cover this up. Ironically, by telling this sordid tale, that's exactly what the book achieves. It does blame Kennedy for his own death by revealing this meeting. I do not believe this meeting took place at all. I think it's a total fabrication. There is no evidence for it whatsoever. That's just my opinion, based on the fact that there's a lack of evidence. It's very slick, though, because there probably was a security meeting to discuss the upcoming walk to St. Matthew's Cathedral with Jacqueline Kennedy, Haile Selassie, Charles de Gaulle, and all the dignitaries. But the bottom line is everyone he's mentioning that attended this alleged meeting are long dead. There's no corroboration. And furthermore, the agents that spoke to me or wrote to me provided substantive details that go against this alleged meeting. The advance agents supposedly were told. No, they weren't. Winston Lawson told me in a letter, a complete stranger. Why would he lie? Said, I don't know of any standing orders for the agents to be up the back of the car. It never came to my attention as such. It never came to his attention as such. According to Jerry Blaine's book, there was a meeting.
Mr. Palamara, there are a number of things that have happened, but he has no credibility. He's a self-described expert in his area, which I don't know what it is. He was born after the assassination, and he keeps creating solutions to the assassination until they're proven wrong. So he's...
Yeah, like your attorney sending me a certified letter asking me to take down a blog where you guys were alleging I was saying that I was a co-author of the book. I wasn't saying that at all. I even noted it came from Lisa McCubben's blog. I was just advertising the book. But that was a shot across the bow, wasn't it, Mr. Blaine, to try to put a scare in me. Didn't work. The truth shall prevail. I know what you said. I know what all your friends said. I have letters of them. I have some of them on audio tape. It is what it is, to use the common vernacular. And a quote from your book where you say that I stabbed your brothers in the back with baseless accusations. Hey, don't kill the messenger for giving you bad news. These gentlemen, including yourself, told me what they told me to a complete stranger on the phone, and or they wrote it, put it in writing. I mean, the consensus is overwhelming. It's a landslide that JFK did not order the agents off the back of the car, nor did he interfere with the actions of the Secret Service. You were a private in the Secret Service. Jerry Bain was the Douglas MacArthur of the Secret Service, #1 agent. His #2 assistant, Floyd Boring, also said the same thing. Kennedy never ordered the agents off the back of the car. So that's where I stand on the matter. He also says that he has no credibility. Well, we'll be the judge of that, won't we? He says he is a self-described expert in this area, which I don't know what it is. Well, self-described people as diverse as Vince Bugliosi, the History Channel, the Assassination Records Review Board, and even ironically Brian Lamb have called me a Secret Service expert. I mean, it is what it is. He was born after the assassination. Okay, and so was your co-author Lisa McCubben. And your point is?
He alleges that because he sent me a letter, 22 pages in length apparently, and that I discussed that with Jerry. I forgot that I ever got a 22-page letter from this particular individual until I heard him say it on TV. And I never discussed it with Jerry or anybody else because it wasn't important to me. And insofar as him being an expert, I don't know where the expert part came from. I spent a long time in the Secret Service in protection, and I'm not an expert, but apparently he became an expert somewhere up in Pennsylvania. I don't know where. People claim that they're experts. They have no basis to make that claim. I was a special agent in charge of Vice President Protection, special agent in charge of Presidential Protection, and Assistant Director of Protective Forces for the United States Secret Service. I'm not an expert, but apparently some of these people out there who write these books and concoct these theories are experts.
People as diverse as Vince Bugliosi, the History Channel, the Assassination Record Review Board, and even ironically Brian Lamb have called me a Secret Service expert. I mean, it is what it is.
The fellow we talked about in the last interview, Vince Palamara,
Yeah.
you've seen his letter? No, he's been critical of...
Well, I'll accept his
Are you
endorsement.
worried that he's being...
Well, maybe he has some secret agenda, I don't know.
The most painful theories point fingers at the agents themselves.
I read where Pontius was part of it because he disappeared after Houston. A conspiracy for the agents to shoot the president. I mean, this is off the wall.
The Zapruder film, when the Zapruder film is run at normal speed, another theme that Palamara throws out is that Bill Greer stopped the car. When it's run at its normal speed, you'll notice the car absolutely does not stop at all. This happened in less than 6 seconds after the president was hit in the throat and moving along. Then all of a sudden everybody broke down the Zapruder film to frame by frame, to slowed it down, and they created a myth to almost every frame of what was going on. And you'll notice too that when Mrs. Kennedy comes over after the first shot, she is directly in front of the president's face. And people have accused Bill Greer of pulling a gun out and shooting the president. He'd have had to shoot through the Conleys, and he'd have had to shoot Mrs. Kennedy. And the same thing holds for anybody on the grassy knoll. Had they fired, they'd have probably injured Mrs. Kennedy in it too. These are the myths that come about. People create a myth or a theory, but they forget all the other facts that are going on.
After...
Okay, Jerry Blaine saying, when the Zapruder film was running normal speed, another theme that Palamara throws out is that Bill Greer stopped the car. When it's running normal speed, you will notice the car absolutely does not stop at all. Well, a couple things I have to say about that. Close to 60 witnesses, including 7 Secret Service agents and Jacqueline Kennedy, said the car either slowed down or stopped. Don't kill the messenger for giving the bad news. All these men and women said what they said, wrote what they wrote. Okay, they were all eyewitnesses. They were there, Jerry. You weren't. You were in Austin, okay? They said the car slowed down and stopped, or just slowed down. Not that they all said it stopped. And as far as it not showing in the Zapruder film, well, Louis Alvarez and other people studied the film, and actually you could see the car slow down. And the major issue is a lot of people think the Zapruder film was tampered with. I don't mean the crazy theories where it was a total cartoon nonsense like that, but frames were removed. All those witnesses, and now the Zapruder film doesn't show a dramatic slowdown like all those witnesses claimed there were. No one's buying it. Who had access to the Zapruder film? Who owned it at first? The Secret Service. Says it all. In this comment you make, this happened in less than six seconds after the president was hit in the throat and moving along. Oh, the president was hit in the throat, huh? In the throat. From the front? What's the deal with that? You know what it is? I don't know. You guys just can't get your story straight. You can't get your facts straight. At least if you guys are going to counter someone on the other side like me, be well prepared. That's embarrassing. Well, good luck. making your money off the man that you were sworn to protect. Have a nice day.
The most painful theories point fingers at the agents themselves.
I read where Pontius was part of it because he disappeared after Houston. A conspiracy for the agents to shoot the president. I mean, this is off the wall.
One of the agents shot him, and all the crap. Everybody's having a field day.
One of the conspiracy theories is that the agents left the president's car unguarded just before the shots were fired.
The motorcade had finished the crowd portion of the route and was about to hit the Stemmons Freeway, therefore going freeway speed. No agents were on the back of the car and would not ever be on the back of the car in those conditions.
And this thing about the freeway, they were going too fast, that's bunk, because there's many trips where the agents were on the back of the car at very fast speeds.
This is the lead advanced agent for Dallas, Winston Lawson. Keep in mind, the lead advanced agent for Dallas, Winston Lawson. This is an amazing letter he wrote me in January 12th, 2004. I do not know of any standing orders for the agents to stay off the back of the car. After all, foothold and handholds were built into that particular vehicle. I am sure it would have been on a case-by-case basis depending on the event, intelligence, threats, etc. Keep in mind, ostensibly, officially, allegedly, there were no threats found in Dallas. Jerry Bain, a special agent in charge of the White House detail, as it was known then, Presidential Protective Division currently, would have been privy to that type of info more than I. See my other video where Bain adamantly denies that President Kennedy ever ordered the agents off the car. However, it never came to my attention as such. I am certain that agents were on the back on certain occasions. Again, I do not know of any standing orders for the agents to stay off the back of the car. However, it never came to my attention as such. This totally debunks the Kennedy detail. Here's the fateful Tampa motorcade of November 18th, 1963. This is Congressman Sam Gibbons. There's JFK, Senator Smathers, Agent Don Lawton, Agent Chuck Sborel, Agent Floyd Boring, Agent Bill Greer. Let's focus on Congressman Gibbons. What did Congressman Gibbons have to say about the whole notion of JFK allegedly ordering the agents off the car in Tampa? Here's what he told me in this letter dated January 15th, 2004, years before the Kennedy detail saw the light of day. I rode with Kennedy every time he rode. I heard no such order. As I remember it, the agents rode on the rear bumper all the way. Kennedy was very happy during his visit to Tampa. Sam Gibbons. This is an amazing letter from Dave Powers, arguably JFK's best friend for years and the former curator of the JFK Library. September 10th, 1993. Okay. Also, unless they were running along beside the limo, the Secret Service rode in a car behind the president. So no, they never had to be told to get off the limo. Also, unless they were running along beside the limo, the Secret Service rode in a car behind the president. So no, they never had to be told to get off the limo. That destroys the Kennedy detail right there. And the whole notion of the O'Donnell Powers staff notion too. This is a fantastic book written by Helen O'Donnell called A Common Good. The Friendship of Robert F. Kennedy and Kenneth P. O'Donnell. There's Kenny O'Donnell. There's Helen O'Donnell, his daughter. This book, much of the material in this book has been gathered from the private tapes of my father, Kenneth P. O'Donnell. Okay, so she has her vivid memory in private audio tapes of my father, Kenneth P. O'Donnell. When I wrote to her, really sweet lady, Dear Vince, thank you for your friend requesting your note, blah, 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 blah. Suffice to say that you are correct. JFK did not order anybody off the car. He never interfered with my dad's direction on the Secret Service, and this is much backed up my dad's tapes. JFK did not order anybody off the car. He never interfered with my dad's direction on the Secret Service, and that is much backed up in my dad's tapes. I think and know from the tapes, Dallas always haunted him, meaning O'Donnell, because of the might-have-beens. But they involved the motorcade route. He constantly questioned his own decision to take the motorcade in that direction, but he never blamed the Secret Service. The important thing, JFK did not order anybody off the car. It's as much backed up in my dad's tapes. Kenny O'Donnell, you've been vindicated. The Kennedy Detail, that book by Gerald Blaine, the Kennedy Detail has been thoroughly debunked. This is Assistant Special Agent in Charge, number 3 Agent Roy Kellerman, ostensibly the agent in charge of the Texas trip. Ostensibly, but it was really fully boring. Roy Kellerman died in March 1984. Here's his widow, who, by the way, passed away in 2006. This is what she said to me in 1997 in a letter. I spoke to her a couple times, too. Dear Mr. Palamara, the answer to your question is no. Roy did not say the JFK was difficult to protect.
The most painful theories point fingers at the agents themselves.
I read where Pontius was part of it because he disappeared after Houston. A conspiracy for the agents to shoot the president. I mean, this is off the wall.
One of the agents shot him.